Dr. Aribert Heim, infamously known as the Butcher of Mauthausen, was a Nazi physician who gained notoriety for his barbaric and grotesque experiments on prisoners during his time at the Mauthausen concentration camp. Born in 1914 in Austria, Heim was a qualified doctor, but under the Third Reich, his medical training became a tool for cruelty and terror. As an SS officer and camp physician, Heim did not seek to heal but to harm, turning his medical knowledge into a weapon of torture. In Mauthausen, a camp notorious for its extreme brutality, Heim stood out for the sheer sadism of his methods. Unlike other Nazi doctors who performed cruel experiments, Heim took a perverse pleasure in his patients' suffering, subjecting prisoners to surgeries without anesthesia, injecting them with lethal substances, and mutilating their bodies for his own warped scientific curiosity. His methods were not just inhumane, they were monstrous. Heim's reign of terror led to the deaths of at least 300 prisoners, though the true number of his victims may never be fully known. He would inject toxic substances like gasoline and poison directly into prisoners' hearts to observe how long they could survive before succumbing to a painful death. He decapitated some of his victims, keeping their skulls as gruesome trophies. Prisoners at Mauthausen came to fear Heim as much as the gas chambers, knowing that being summoned to his infirmary meant a death filled with unimaginable pain. Heim's actions were driven by a twisted combination of ideological fanaticism and personal sadism. Like many in the Nazi medical hierarchy, Heim fully embraced the regime's racist ideology, believing that Jews, Romani people, and other so-called undesirables were subhuman and therefore fair game for his deadly experiments. However, his actions went beyond mere obedience to Nazi doctrine. Heim appeared to derive a sick pleasure from inflicting pain, conducting experiments that had no scientific basis, but were instead designed to maximize the suffering of his victims. Heim wanted to push the boundaries of cruelty, using the prisoners as guinea pigs in his depraved games. His surgeries were not intended to advance medical science, but to indulge his sadistic impulses. He also sought recognition among his SS peers, showing off his gruesome medical achievements as evidence of his dedication to the Nazi cause. His primary desire, it seemed, was power, the power to play God over the lives of those he saw as beneath him, to decide who lived and who died in the most agonizing ways imaginable. During the height of the Nazi regime, men like Aribert Heim operated with near total impunity. The horrors of the concentration camps were hidden from much of the world, and within the confines of places like Mauthausen, SS officers like Heim were free to indulge their worst instincts. There was no one to stop him, because the entire system was designed to dehumanize and destroy the people under his control. His superiors condoned and even encouraged the atrocities he committed, and the outside world was largely unaware of the full scale of the horrors taking place inside the camps. As the war drew to a close and Nazi Germany faced imminent defeat, many SS officers, including Heim, fled in an attempt to escape justice. Knowing that their crimes would not go unpunished if they fell into Allied hands, these war criminals went into hiding, often using false identities and the chaos of post-war Europe to slip through the cracks, adopting a false identity and going underground. After the war, he briefly worked as a doctor in the German city of Baden-Baden, blending into the civilian population. However, as the Allied powers and Nazi hunters began pursuing war criminals, Heim realized that it was only a matter of time before his identity would be uncovered. In 1962, when it became clear that authorities were closing in on him, Heim disappeared, vanishing from public life entirely. For decades, Heim remained one of the most wanted Nazi war criminals in the world. His ability to evade capture became the stuff of legend, as investigators chased rumors and false leads across Europe, South America, and the Middle East. It was believed that Heim had lived in Spain, Argentina, or even Chile under various aliases. Despite the efforts of Nazi hunters like Simon Wiesenthal, who dedicated their lives to bringing men like Heim to justice, he always seemed to stay one step ahead of his pursuers. Heim's escape was aided by a network of former Nazis and sympathizers who helped him stay hidden. He reportedly lived a quiet life, continuing to practice medicine in secret, always moving from place to place to avoid detection. His son claimed that Heim had fled to Egypt, where he converted to Islam and lived under the name Tariq Farid Hussein. Heim's mastery of deception allowed him to remain at large for over 40 years, frustrating the efforts of those seeking justice for his victims. Despite his decades of evasion, Heim could not escape justice forever. Though he died in 1992 in Egypt, according to his family, his legacy as the Butcher of Mauthausen ensured that his crimes would never be forgotten. The hunt for Heim continued long after his death, with investigators attempting to verify his fate. His escape from immediate capture did not absolve him of guilt, nor did it diminish the determination of those seeking to hold him accountable for his atrocities. In 2009, more than a decade after Heim's supposed death, German authorities confirmed his fate. Evidence, including testimonies from his family and financial records, pointed to his death in Cairo in 1992 from cancer. Though he had evaded trial, the truth about his whereabouts finally emerged, offering a sense of closure for those who had pursued him for so many years. Heim's death, while denying his victims the satisfaction of seeing him tried and punished in a court of law, did not erase the horrors he inflicted during the war. His crimes remain among the most brutal of the Holocaust, and his legacy is one of cruelty, terror, and pain. Though he managed to evade justice in life, Heim will forever be remembered as one of the most sadistic figures of the Nazi regime, a man who used his medical expertise not to heal, but to destroy. The confirmation of Heim's death did not bring the same kind of justice that the capture and execution of other Nazi war criminals like Adolf Eichmann did. Instead, it served as a stark reminder of how many Nazi criminals escaped accountability and lived out their days in relative peace, while their victims perished in agony. However, the fact that Heim was hunted until the end of his life is a testament to the determination of those who refused to let his crimes be forgotten. The story of Aribert Heim, the Butcher of Mauthausen, is one of both horror and frustration. A tale of a man who committed unspeakable acts of violence and cruelty, yet managed to evade the justice he so richly deserved. His name remains synonymous with the atrocities of the Holocaust, and the memories of his victims, though long gone, continue to haunt the collective consciousness of humanity. Aribert Heim's legacy is a dark and terrifying one. As the Butcher of Mauthausen, he left behind a trail of suffering and death that continues to resonate today. Though he died before he could face trial, his story serves as a reminder of the importance of seeking justice for the victims of atrocities, no matter how long it takes. The hunt for Heim, like the pursuit of other Nazi war criminals, reflects the world's determination to ensure that those who commit such horrific crimes are held accountable, even if justice is delayed. For the 300 prisoners who suffered under Heim's scalpel, justice came too late. But the ongoing efforts to uncover the truth about Heim's life and death ensured that his name would not be forgotten, nor would the crimes he committed be erased from history. His death, though unpunished in a court of law, stands as a symbol of the continued fight against impunity for those who commit crimes against humanity.